with the vetting process. Mine is on the negotiations between the UHC, on the matter of UHC between the Council of Governors and the Ministry of Health. I think in my opening remarks, it is very unfair to the young people, which are over 8,000 under universal health coverage staff that serve this nation during COVID era, that they are still being subjected or being tossed from one point to the other in the statement that they are running contracts. The Council of Governors are not being fair because daily and every day they continue to confirm most of their staff in the individual counties based on contract, and they have been transferring them to permanent and pensionable. The yesterday meeting was very disappointing. Fourth schedule of the Constitution shows that health is a devolved function. And therefore the Council of Governors and counties are being hypocritical on this matter. Before we see them recruiting, moving from contract to permanent and pensionable. So it was very unfortunate, and the money that these young men and women are requesting for permanent and pensionable is almost 6.9 billion Kenya shillings, and the payment of their gratuity. So it is very hypocritical and it's very unfortunate. It is demoralizing to the many UHC staff that continue to serve with distinction in most of our facilities across the country. And they are the first line of defense. It is unfortunate that they sacrifice a lot for this country during the COVID-19. But we have not rewarded them, we have not recognized them. The only thing they have been subjected to is being tossed from one office to the other. And we are aware that governors and Council of Governors want to employ other new people. And that is why they are hesitant in picking up this UHC staff. They are playing the game of cat and mouse with a different agenda. So the statement on the uncertainties and non-resolution of employment of universal health care workers by the Ministry of Health and Council of Governors. The absorption of universal health coverage health workers in Kenya is critical and requires urgent and swift action so as to avert a looming health crisis from the perennial strikes and industrial actions due to failing to address this matter of absorption of universal health coverage into permanent and pensionable terms and their payment of gratuity. UHC workers are over 8,000 and facing uncertainty as the standoff between the Ministry of Health and county governments concerning their employment status continues to persist. With the COG now asking for Kenyan shillings 7.7 billion in order to absorb the workers of UHC under permanent and pensionable, and considering that under Schedule 4 of our Constitution 2010, health is a devolved function, and therefore governors should stop issuing conditions and work with the allocations as observe the workers. The upshot of this matter is that the fact that health is a devolved function, they normally budget within their budget lines of the counties. So they are just playing with the minds of the UHC staff across our counties. And by the way, it's not that since yesterday, after this non-resolution by Minister of Health and Council of Governors, I have never had peace. Most of the disgruntled and the UHC staff have been sending WhatsApp messages and SMSs to my phone and other colleagues in Parliament to push and ensure they are confirmed on permanent and pensionable terms. We call on the COG to stop causing unnecessary delays and frustrating the progress and goodwill of the government of ensuring the issue of UHC staff is settled and enable Kenyans to access universal health care services within our reach and from various facilities that we have across the 47 counties in this country. The government has announced plans to formally absorb 7,401 UHC staff members starting in September 2025. While this announcement is a step in the right direction, the COG pushing for harmonization is an attempt to delay the progress, considering the headcount of UHC is already ongoing and should be completed by 5th September 2025. The upshot is that the Council of Governors and Governors, during this progress, the reason they are delaying the headcount and confirmation into PNP of UHC staff is their intention, and the information we have is to remove the genuine UHC staff from being absorbed in our facilities across the counties so that they can hire their cronies and, of course, their political court chesters. UHC health workers have constantly voiced their dissatisfaction with the current payment structures, unclear working conditions and terms, poor working conditions and unfulfilled payments, including gratuity, to frustration and sense of betrayal, thus marking them to be demoralized and resulting to poor health provision being administered to our patients across the 47 counties. In the light of these pressing challenges, we urgently call upon all stakeholders, Parliament or the Senate, the Ministry of Health, county governments, health workers, and unions to engage in open, transparent, and constructive dialogue. It is imperative that we address the concerns of UHC staff to ensure fair and equitable absorption process that recognizes their contributions and sacrifices, that these were the only foot soldiers in the COVID-19 that confronted an known enemy at that time, being the COVID pandemic, that even soldiers could not leave their barracks because this enemy was not a conventional enemy. They are the young men and women that sacrifice, risk their lives, work in hardship conditions. They didn't have protective gear, but they came out in numbers to fight the COVID pandemic many years ago. They have sacrificed a lot, subjecting them to further humiliation and embarrassment of non-confirmation in PNP and non-payment of their gratuity and unclear working conditions and poor working conditions is the worst form of treatment against them. The successful implementation of UHC in Kenya hinges on the fair treatment of health workers, ensuring the absorption in PNP or permanent and pensionable terms is not merely a matter of employment. It is essential for the suitability of healthcare services and act as a reward to our heroes who stood firm despite the poor working conditions and maintained patience and resilience for over 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, these are young men and women. They have been in contract for the last 4 years. 4 years, they have been tossed from one entity to the other. The MOH, the county governments have been playing hide and seek, frustrating. And I can confirm, I know a number of UHC staff that are undergoing depression. I know a number of them that have contemplated committing suicide. I know a number of them that they cannot pay upkeep for their families, yet they are working day in and night to provide for medical care services. I think the least we can do, we don't need to award them with awards, EGH, or head of state commendation, or medals. The only gift that we give to these heroes and heroines is to ensure they are transited to permanent and pensionable, their work terms are clear, and they are protected from the work environment by providing for good working environment so that they can provide healthcare services and ensure the implementation of universal health coverage in this country. Chenye nataka niseme tu kwa kifupi sana, ni kwa yale mazungumzo iliyofanyika na Wizara ya Afya, na nimepata jumbe mingi kutoka UHC staff. Wengi wao wanapitia depression, wengine hawachakula, wengine wanafikiria hata commit suicide kwa sababu wamechezewa kwa miaka mingi. Hawa ni wananchi wa Kenya ambao walijitolea kupambana na janga la COVID-19, wakati hata maaskari wetu na jeshi alikuwa linatoka barracks, kwa sababu hii ilikuwa adui ambayo iko imejulikana. Hawa watoto wa UHC hawataki wapewe medali, wanataka tu wapewe nafasi ya permanent and pensionable na wapewe malikimbizi yao ya kazi. Hii mchezo ya Council of Governors, kwa sababu tunajua sekta ya afya ama function ya afya ni devolved function kulingana na 4th schedule of the Constitution 2010. Ni heshima kubwa na zawadi ya hawa vijana wetu ambao wamejitolea under UHC program ni kwa confirming to permanent and pensionable, na nimeona governors wanasema wanataka zaidi ya bilioni 7 ndio confirm, ili yali health function is a devolved function. Na ikiwa magavana wanasema itapita ile 35% wage bill, county zote zimepita zote, wengi wako katika 57 katika ile wage bill, washapita 35%, ile sheria imetolewa. Na hii ni essential staff. Tunajua magavana ambao wako na advisors 80, wengine 30, na ni advisors sijui wa cultural, wa lugha. Sasa unawacha ule mtu wa kutoa kupeana afya, unaandika ule advisor wa kushauri mambo ya sijui jandoni ya kutahiri, sijui mambo ya kuongea lugha, sijui ya uiano, sijui advisor ya madini, ati dini fulani. Ukienda kaunti fulani unaambiwa kuna advisor wa dini ya Kikristo, ati dini ya Kiislamu, dini ya jeshi la wokovu, dini ya Msambwa. So hiyo ndio inashangaza, kwa sababu hao UHC ni muhimu. Hata ukiwa na hawa wanaweza tibu wananchi, hakuna haja ya kuwa na advisor ya mambo mengine. So I want to appeal na the Council of Governors and Counties, hii mchezo ambao wanafanya paka na panya wakome. Hawa watoto zaidi ya 7,000 ambao wamfanyia kazi katika kaunti zetu wapewe ile permanent and pensionable na ile gratuity ama malikimbizi yao, na hii pesa ya bilioni 7 ambao wanaitisha tulishaweka kwa conditional allocation, tulishaweka katika budget, na hatutaki hao vijana waendelee kuangamia badala ya kutoa ama kupatia huduma ya afya katika nikimalizia, the success ya devolution itategemea jinsi ambazo handle mambo ya afya katika kaunti zetu. The only yardstick of success of devolution, hata tulikuwa devolution conference, counties have received over 4 trillion for the last 2013. Success ya devolution katika taifa letu la Kenya is the success of the health function in our counties. Na hiyo nataka niwaulize, kwa sababu nataka niulize Ministry of Health wapeane under Public Service Commission, wapeane hiyo list yote ya hao vijana 7,414 katika kila county waweze kuwa absorbed on permanent and pensionable. Kitu naomba Ministry of Health na Public Service Commission wahakikishe ile malikimbizi ya hawa vijana ama the gratuity wamelipwa kulingana na mujibu wa sheria. Na mimi na challenge county assemblies MCS wanafanya budget. Sahi budget kadhaa zimekataliwa na controller of budget. Hizo budget ambao wanaweka katika afya waweke katika pesa ya UHC. Hatutaki tuone ma-MCA tu wafanye kazi yao ya oversight, ni sawa, wafanye nini, lakini wa ensure the budget. Hata naona county assembly ya Nairobi ati wametoa 60 days ndio aanze mchakato wa kumbandua government. I can tell them in that 60 days nothing will happen and they do nothing about it. So they let them focus on the real issues of ensuring that we budget for the UHC for the betterment of this country and the functionality of devolution in this republic. So sitaki kusema kuzidi hapo unless there is a question. Maybe finally on the issue of Jubaland, I'm told in Mandera there is an invasion of foreign troops. I think that is a clear violation of integrity, territorial integrity of this country. And I hope and I want to believe that the Ministry of Foreign Defense is working hard with Kenya Defense Forces to ensure that we don't have any foreign troops within the Kenyan soil. Those foreign troops that have violated the integrity and boundary of Kenya in Mandera They are now fugitives of war. They must be arrested and they must be court-martialed for violating the territorial integrity of this Republic of Kenya. And we hope and we want to pray for the people of Mandera. Personally, I've been to Mandera before. I know how close it is with the border. I want to challenge the security agencies, the necessary KDF forces, to ensure that let us not allow the violation of our territorial integrity. And I hope Parliament, when Parliament reconvenes from the recess, this should be a matter of priority, but the Ministry of Defense and Kenya Defense Forces should ensure at all times, because the Constitution gives them power to protect our territory. We don't want anybody to violate our territory. I think when a territory of a nation is violated, it attracts serious repercussions and reprisals against the country or the offensive forces. So I hope as we go, the people of Mandera, because if they come in, they will come to Kitui. Before we know, the terror activities might increase in the country. Because if they can access our country, it means those are people with no good intentions, and we don't want to see the increment of terror activities within the country. So I think it behooves all of us as a country, as Parliament and the sector players, to ensure the territorial integrity of this country is protected at all costs for the benefit of us and for the future generations. So many people have commented on this matter. I think this is a national security matter, and I know the National Security Council and other state actors in security sector should be on a lookout to ensure that that matter that we have seen in Mandera, and I hope and believe that the Ministry of Defense and Kenya Defense Forces, for the country to be calm and for the country to know what is happening, at least to issue an official statement, because the statement that we have just seen is the statement from the governor of Mandera. We need also the statement from either Ministry of Defense or Kenya Defense Forces to elude the fears, so that no one can take advantage of what is happening for political expediency. With those very many remarks, let me wish you well and enjoy your afternoon, and asanteni sana.